psychologist Leon Fassier, Stanley Stacher, and sociologist Kurt Bach began to wonder how friendship forms. Okay. The thing is that, to be honest with you, I have no interest in, getting any information about how friendship form. Okay, but that's my personal perspective. Do you? Do you really care about how friendships form? Okay, so we don't have any sympathy. And why do some strangers build lasting friendship? The thing that we need to stay focused on is this: strangers. Two strangers, maybe more. But they can build lasting, means, what is that? It's more likely long term, right? I can tell you this means long-term relationships, like the relationships you can expect from a couple. The couple, mostly they started as companions, but later on they become to each other friends. While others struggle to get past the basic platitude. So what does that mean, get past? Like exchange. They can't even exchange basic platitudes like, hey, how's the weather? Or, hey, look at this. How great the weather is. And what have you been doing? Like, what's up? Like that. The most typical and basic platitudes. You cannot even exchange those things. But others, they can build and start and build long-term relationships, friendships. What's the secret underlying behind that the kind of difference between those who have problems, or those who have difficulty making friends, and those who have zero difficulty making friends? Some experts explained that the friendship formation could be traced to the infancy. So when you take a close look at how a child or two children make their friendship before they reach the primary school, like 8 years old and 7 years old, so 3 years old, 4 or 5, those preschoolers, or even infants, like 2 years old, 3 years old, those children. Where children acquire the values, beliefs, and attitudes that would bind and separate them later in life. Okay? So they might be able to bind themselves, or they can separate themselves by their values and beliefs and attitudes. So those three belief systems might function as a kind of, what do I say, the adhesive, the factors that bring people together as a unit or union. Or if you share the same values with someone, then you can stay in this long-term relationship. But if you don't, you can't. Like a Buddhist and Christian, they cannot get along well if they stick to their religious doctrines, saying Buddha is the best, saying Jesus Christ is the best, or no, the Mahomet is the best. Unless they claim their religion is the best, the relationship can last much longer than you think. But when there is conflict in terms of which is better, which is not, okay, then that's the beginning of the problem or separations. So you have to say goodbye to your friends. So, but fasting or Scatcher, I don't know how to read it. Back pursued a different theory. Actually, the first half of this reading passage tells us that we have probably with our friends, we might have the common aspects, common points, a common value, common beliefs, common attitudes. But if you don't have those kind of common aspects, we have to say goodbye to our friends, right? So those values, beliefs, and attitudes may help us bind us with our friends, or the vice versa. But the fasting, and then these three researchers, they pursued a different theory. The researchers believed that blank was the key to friendship formation, that friendships are likely to develop on the basis of brief and passive contract. Here, this is very important. Brief and passive contract. So you don't make effort to be friends, okay? To make friends with strangers. You don't make efforts. That just happens. That just happens without your effort, without being conscious of what's happening. You don't even have to say the cliches or platitudes. That just happens. Okay? The friendship is likely developed on the basis of brief and passive contracts and made going to or going from home or walking about the neighborhood. So it's randomness. Okay? Random. The randomness is the key. Randomness is key. In their view, it wasn't so much that the people with a similar attitude, like similar values, similar beliefs and attitudes, became friends. No. So that means Islamic person can make friends with Christian-based people. Okay? Are you a worshipper of Confucianism, like a Gongzha? Gongzi? No, you're not. So, but the people who would pass each other during the day tend to become friends. Like, you're walking down the street in your neighborhood, like this guy, like, hey, what's up? Did you plan to meet the person? Absolutely not. Did you even call the person later on? Absolutely no. That's really awkward. Considering who you are, based on my experience, you never do that. You never start talking to a classmate for maybe for a month, maybe for 6 months, right? But you wait someone else to approach you, and you just figure out if you can be his friend, or he can be your friend, right? So you try to figure out what kind of common points you can share with this guy. The other guy started saying he has this like a strong intrigue in, what was that, like kind of the hip hop shit. And then you like hip hop, dude? And I'm a great fan of this guy. Right? So this randomness, okay, is actually the key to creating the situation in which you can make friends with someone else. Total strangers. And so came to adapt similar attitudes over time. So on the first day you happen to meet the person, you don't share anything. Oh, wait a second, this is our first confrontation. So let me just be clear what I like. You need to cut to the chase. Cut to the means like don't say something irrelevant. Blah blah blah. No, I don't want to hear that. This is what I like. Tell me what you like. Blah blah blah. Oh, this is a common point. No. We we're a lot in common. So let's make a deal. You're gonna be my friend, I'm gonna be your friend, okay? No, it's not gonna happen like that. Do you understand? This randomness, the random confrontation, random meeting, never planned it thoroughly. And that experience can be stacked over and over on top of it. Then, like a month later or two, you would find yourself talking to this guy, total stranger, like 2 months ago, and then calling himself and calling yourself your best friend. Okay? Do you understand? So what does that mean? Shared value? No. This is totally opposite. You don't do that. Physical space? Probably. Because you both live in the same neighborhood. So this condition that you guys live in pretty close range, that allows you to meet randomly through the day, through the week, through the year, through the months. Conscious effort? I told you no. Can you be my friend, dude? No, you can't do that. That's super weird. Similar character? I said no. I told you, Confucianism, like worshiper, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sungbeja, and the Muslim worshippers can be friends. Or a psychological sufferer? No. The answer is physical space. You should stay in this region where the unplanned or random meeting or confrontation is possible. Where is it? Okay, here, walking home or going to home, going from home, or walking about the neighborhood. That is it. Understand? What did you pick? All right, 15. We are now blank instead of the other way around. Perhaps the clearest way to see this is to look at changes in the biomass. What is the biomass? What's the biomass? It's like total amount of living creatures, right? Within a certain or a given area, the biomass. The total worldwide weights of mammals. A long time ago, all of us humans together probably weighed only about 2/3. All right, as much as the old biosome in the Northern America, but less than 1/10, 1/8, as much as old elephants in Africa. Okay. Why would you say such a thing at the beginning of this passage? That means the proportion of human biomass wasn't that great, wasn't that big compared to other types of animals. Okay? But in the industrial era means in Korean? That's correct. Industrial era, our population or the biomass exploded. We killed bison. What is a bison? Bison is kind of that belongs to a cattle, a cow family. Okay, bison, and elephants at industrial scale, and in terrible numbers. So you can imagine the total biomass of those two species declined, like a plummet, like you flush the toilet water, if it is a proper metaphor. Okay, and the balance shifted greatly as a result. Understand? So more elephants existed before the industrial era. More bisons were wandering or roaming all across the North American territory. Understand? So more mammals were living, were dwelling. But now we outnumber them. Why? The population. Why? Because the nutrition perspective, we eat more. Okay, so in the medical perspective, we don't die. Right? The reason why we had a small number of population back then, like 20, like 1 decade ago, or 2 decades. No, I'm talking about 1 century, 2 centuries. Okay, so we were not able to cure the infectious disease or the birth rates, like infant disease. We were not able to control the rate of those early life diseases, early life death, like an infant child death. Okay, but now we have what? Many vaccinations and nutrition, and even we can avoid the dangers, right? With those kind of industrial supports, so we are now growing in population. So at present, we humans weigh more than 350 times as much as the old bison and elephants put together. Imagine, it was like 2/3 and 1/8. Think about it. If we put them together, then we outweigh. We weigh over 10 times more than all the earth wild animals combined. Oops. So basically, this writer of this passage tells us what? There are too many people. Too many. The skyrocketing number of the population actually is one of the key factors of global warming. And this impeachment, 탄핵, and this self-coups, martial laws. The more complicated the society becomes, the more shit shows we can see, experience. This is total shit show, I'm sorry. Okay. So, cattle, sheep, pigs, horses, so on. The comparison, pigo, becomes truly ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Too many people, too many humans. We and our tamed animal. What is tamed? 가축. Tamed, like 길들이다. So tamed animals, in other words, livestock. 가축, livestock. Now represents 97% of the earth mammalians and biomass. Why would you have so many mammals? Why? Because we feed on them. But the wild animals, they're losing their territories. This comparison illustrates a fundamental point. Instead of being limited by the environment, we learn to shape it to our own ends. What does that mean? Ends, like 목적. 환경을 우리 맛대로, 우리 목적에 맞춰서 이 환경을 맞춰야 한다. 우리가 환경에 적용하는 게 아니라 환경으로 하고 우리가 적용해라. 너희가 적용해라. Okay? So here, imposing ourselves on the nature, limiting our ecological impact? Absolutely no. Yielding our land to mammals, 양보한다. 우리의 땅을 포유류들에게. Encouraging biological diversity, 생물학적 다양성을 증진하고 촉진시킨다. Doing useful work for the environment. Okay? What does that mean? So what is the answer? That we must adapt to the environment. Okay? We are actually doing the other way around. 주어진 삶에, 주어진 환경에 우리가 적응해서 숫자를 너무 지나치게 인구가 늘어나지 않게 컨트롤해야 되는데 우리는 오직 뭐에만 눈이 멀었어. 우리가 가진 목적, 욕구 이 중에 그렇죠. 우리가 더 많은 테리토리를 차지하려고 하고 그 테리토리에다가 뭘 집어넣은 거야? 우리의 먹거리, 라이프스타일을 키우니까 그렇죠. 자연에 존재하는 야생 동물의 숫자가 급감하고 있다. 너무나 지나치게 인간의 바이오매스가 너무나 크다. 97%. 지나친 거 아니야?